Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MLS Moves. Please make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I got a couple things to talk about tonight. We're going to discuss Inter Miami's pace for a historical season, very close to breaking the all-time MLS points record. They should do that. They would have to have an utter collapse to not be able to reach that feat. Going to talk about the LA Galaxy and how they struggled against the Portland Timbers last night, but they're still in first place in the Western Conference. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Golden Boot race and the MVP so far, two races that are really heating up and that could really go either way. So I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Make sure you like the video, share with a friend, try to grow the audience as much as we can. Probably going to go about 30 to 35 minutes tonight, I'd say. Looking forward to talking about this. Should be an exciting stream. So I guess we'll jump right into it. We got two comments. Elon Don, let's go. Regular season is almost over. Playoffs are so close. Yes, playoffs are right around the corner. Some teams only have 4 regular season games left, which is crazy to think about. This season has just completely flew by compared to last year, where it felt like it dragged on after the Leagues Cup. Mr. Mister said, "Hi, Will. Mr. Appreciate it. Always a consistent supporter of the channel. Appreciate you tuning in." But going back to the Supporter Shield race and Inter Miami going for their historic season, Inter Miami currently has 63 points. They're 10 points away from breaking the all-time record set by the New England Revolution. New England Revolution had 73 points back in 2021. Now, it was obviously a different season because it was the COVID season. They were doing more of a regional scheduling at that year. So a lot of people kind of will put like an asterisk next to the performance that season of the New England Revolution and say, yeah, they did, set the record, but it's not necessarily what it would be in a normal circumstance. So either way, Inter Miami is 10 points away. They have 5 games. They only have to win 3 and a draw to break the record. Now, last night's match did hurt them a little bit, because if they had won last night's match, they would have had a chance to not only break the all-time record, they would have had a chance to also be the first MLS club to eclipse 80 points. That would have been the first team in history to do that. So that would have been an interesting feat to see them accomplish, and to see what would have happened if they had done that. Now that's impossible for them to do. The most points that they can get now is 78, which is still be a great season, right? I mean, 19 wins through 29 matches is still very impressive, but they were on pace to get 80 points. It would have been the first season we would have seen an MLS team truly dominate in a fashion we hadn't seen before. So that's a little disappointing, honestly, but they're still rocking and rolling. They're still at the top of the Supporter Shield race. And the next closest team to them is Cincinnati. They both have the same amount of games played, and Cincinnati is 8 points behind. So Inter Miami would have to have a complete and utter collapse in order for Cincinnati to catch up to them. Now it's just a matter if Inter Miami will be able to break the all-time MLS record, which I think that they definitely should be able to do that. We'll look at their remaining schedule here in just a second, just to see who they play for the rest of the season. But they look like they're going to cruise by. They're going to be in first place. I'm not sure. I think that they're on pace also to break. Maybe they're not on pace to break LAFC's record. LAFC broke the MLS record in 2019, or tied the MLS record with the Galaxy several years back for the most goals in a season. So maybe they are not on the pace to break that, but they are on pace to break the MLS points record, which has been reset several different times over the last couple years, which is what you would expect, because obviously this league is only 30 years old, so records should be set or reset pretty often, just because there's going to be more teams. The quality is obviously going to improve. So that's something that probably should happen. Now, moving on to the conference standings. I want to talk about the Western Conference a little bit, because the LA Galaxy had a pretty bad performance last night um, the against the Portland Timbers, and they dropped. They lost 4-2, especially coming off of that great win against LAFC and El Tráfico on Saturday. They're still in a good position right now. They have 55 points. They do have LAFC has 2 games in hand. So if LAFC technically wins their next 2 matches, they would be tied with the LA Galaxy. But I'm not exactly sure how. I guess the goal or the tiebreaker would be the goal difference, which LA Galaxy technically have a better goal difference than LAFC at the moment. One better. They have a 15 goal difference. LAFC has 14 goal difference. So they would still theoretically have the tiebreaker if they were to finish the season with the same record. Now, the RSL, I think that they're pretty much out of it, honestly, at this point. I don't think they'll have a chance to really catch up with the LA Galaxy or LAFC, whichever the two finish at the top of the Western Conference. Now, this is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, the last time the LA Galaxy finished in the first place in the Western Conference has been a while, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's been the last decade. So the last time the LA Galaxy finished in first place in the Western Conference, I'm pulling up their season by season records right now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So the last time the LA Galaxy finished first place in the Western Conference was in 2011. So the last time they finished in the first place in the Western Conference, they actually won the MLS Cup. So that's a good trend for the LA Galaxy. I can actually pull this up too if you'd like. Let me switch this over real quick, so that way you can kind of look at this with me. So the last time the LA Galaxy won the Western Conference was 2011. They won MLS Cup. They've won MLS Cup 2 more times after that, but they didn't finish in first place. And another thing to keep in mind is that the LA Galaxy are currently undefeated at Dignity Health Sports Park this year. So having a home field advantage to the rest of the playoffs, and obviously finishing with the best record or at the top of the league or the Western Conference for the first time since 2011 would be a great feat for the LA Galaxy. I don't know if let's see, did they also, so they also won the Supporter Shield that season. They're not going to win the Supporter Shield this year. That's going to definitely be Inter Miami, but they will be able to, if they finish first in the Western Conference, that means that the entire Western Conference playoffs will have to go through Dignity Health Sports Park. And they haven't lost a game there, so that is a plus in their favor. So that's going to be it's a really tough place to play this year. I think the LA Galaxy have a very good chance of making it to the MLS Cup final if they hold on to the Western Conference, the first seed. Now, LAFC, like we said, let me swap back over here to the standings. LAFC has a chance to catch up to them a lot. There's still several games to play. But I would be willing to bet the LA Galaxy are most likely going to be the team that holds on. And just to give you guys an overall look at the rest of the league, in case you missed it, Inter Miami in first place, 63 points. Cincinnati, 55 points, second place. LA Galaxy, 55 points, third place technically. These are the only Miami, Cincy, LA, and Columbus are the only teams in MLS thus far who have clinched a playoff spot. And while we're looking at it, I also want to touch on a few other teams just to see what the contention, see what other players or teams could possibly make the MLS Cup playoffs. Philadelphia is currently in 9th place, the last spot for the playoff spot, which they would play a play-in with Toronto. They have 33 points. Toronto has 36 points. DC has 33 points. DC, obviously, if there's a tiebreaker, DC's in trouble because they have a minus 13 goal difference. They're not making that up. While Philly's at 6. Crazy that Toronto's even in the playoffs with the minus 15 goal difference is insane. Columbus has a 26. That's a plus 26. That's incredible. But it's going to be very hard for DC United to make the playoffs if they tie. They're going to have to pass Philadelphia up in points or they're not making the playoffs this year. Now, Atlanta United -4. There's just an uphill battle for all these teams. Now, if Toronto is able to slip up and Philly is able to pass them, now that's where it could really get interesting because the goal difference is so abysmal in the lower seeds of these teams. And look at this, guys. Is this not crazy? This is my problem with the playoffs or the new format. And I understand why they want to get more teams involved, but just hear me out, okay? You have all these teams. Look at this. Look at how watered down this is. These teams are not good. This is not good. You should not be rewarding mediocrity. This is very bad. Like, why should a team, okay, Nashville or Chicago or even New England, because they have technically, let's see, they have 6 games left, so they could easily get back in contention. They have a minus 24 goal differential. Minus 24. Why should a team with a minus 24 goal differential even be remotely in the conversation for making the playoffs? That is just abysmal, watered down BS that is going to hurt the quality of play. They have no business being in the playoffs, especially when they're in 15th place with 6 games left. Why is there even an opportunity for them to make the playoffs? That is just embarrassing, in my opinion. And it's nothing to do with New England. No hate towards New England or any of these teams. It's just the fact of teams that are that bad in the season should not have the opportunity to make the playoffs, in my opinion. John Paul, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Is it Terrazes, I think? What is the record for most goals in the season? I want to say that it is set by LAFC. Most goals by team in MLS history. I want to say it's a tie between LAFC and the LA Galaxy team. Let's see. Okay, that's one match. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so the 98 Galaxy scored 85 goals. Okay, so the all-time record is between LAFC, LA Galaxy, 85 goals scored in a season. And the highest goal, the record goal difference is plus 48 by LAFC in 2019. So plus 48 is the goal difference record, and then 85 goals is the record that's a tie between the Galaxy and LAFC. Go figure, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. So that's currently the all-time record. Now getting back to the standings, right? Let's go look at the Western Conference and see what they're doing. So San Jose is the worst team in the league. They've got 18 points through 29 games. They've only got 5 wins, 3 draws, 21 losses. Absolutely abysmal. They have no chance to make the playoffs. They just don't. Now the Western Conference, which is crazy, is a little deeper. Like the quality isn't as drastic of the lower end teams. But still, I don't like having this many bad teams make the playoffs. I don't think Portland or Minnesota or anyone below has been worthy of making the playoffs this year, in my opinion. It's no hate towards them. Everybody can't make the playoffs, or then what would be the point of the regular season? Look at Charlotte, for example. Charlotte's 38 points, right? 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. If they're in the Western Conference, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs right now. They would be the 10th spot in the Western Conference. And let's look at Houston, for example. Let's flip it on its head. Let's take the 7th place team in the Western Conference, 45 points. Where would they be at in the Eastern Conference? So Houston Dynamo, 7th place in the Western Conference, would be in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. That is just crazy to think about, honestly. It really is. But that's what happens when 18 out of 29 teams make the playoffs. You're going to get a watered down product. That's just what comes with it. Now I want to also look at, we'll get back into that, maybe some more predictions in a second, but I want to get to stats. Let's see, statistics. I want to look at the Golden Boot race. Okay, so this is interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting next couple weeks to see who wins. Christian Benteke is at the top of the list right now. He's got 19 goals in 25 games for DC United. He's missed some games and he's still leading the league in goals scored, 19. And he's likely to break 20, right? Because I think they got like 4 games left. And Chicho Arango got 17. Denny Bouanga's got 17. Luis Suarez has got 17. And then there's a couple guys. There's several players with 14 goals. Now, Gazdag is obviously the one outlier with 15. I don't think he's going to win the Golden Boot. Now, I think realistically, there are 4 players who could win the Golden Boot. 4 players in contention for the Golden Boot. I think Benteke is a realistic option to win the Golden Boot. I think Denny Bouanga is a realistic option to win the Golden Boot. I think Luis Suarez is a realistic option to win the Golden Boot. And 4th, I think Leo Messi is a realistic option to win the Golden Boot. Now, Messi has played the least amount of games of all these guys, and he's got 14 goals. So he's only started 12 games. He's got 14 goals. If he plays the remaining 5 matches, I think he really has a good chance of winning the Golden Boot because he could score. He could have a game where he scores 2, 3, 4. Hell, he could score 5 in a game. I mean, that's just the kind of player, obviously, he is. So he could just run away with it. Now, this is going to be an interesting question, though, too. And I'd love to get your guys' opinion. I want to get the chat involved. I want to know what you guys think. We got 21 of you right now so far. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share with a friend. Hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of my videos or live streams. What happens with the MVP award? Who is the current MVP? Now, Christian Benteke obviously is having a good season, but if LAFC or DC United don't make the playoffs, get him out of the way. He can't win MVP. Chicho Arango kind of hit a wall. He's not really been as good. He's been injured a couple games, and he's had some issues. I think he's kind of out of contention for MVP now. At one point, he was the favorite, in my opinion. Denny Bouanga, you could make an argument he could be MVP. Luis Suarez is winning the Golden Boot, is in contention for the Golden Boot on the best team in the league. Is he the leader? Is Luis Suarez the leader currently for the MVP? 17 goals, 6 assists, playing on the best team in the league. Elmer says Suarez could be MVP. I agree. I feel like Suarez would have to be the favorite right now, right? Because he's not winning the Golden Boot race. He's not winning the assist race, right? But he is currently the playing on the best team in the league, and he's been their most valuable player, right? Now, Messi, he would probably win it if he'd played a couple more games, but I just find it hard to believe they're going to give it to someone who's missed 24, 26 games. I just don't think they're going to give it to him. Now, his stats are crazy, right? 14 goals, 14 assists. That's insane. But can you give it to him if he hasn't played all the games? I mean, how bad would that look if Messi missed more than half of the games and he won MVP? Wouldn't that be a bad look? And look, I'm with you guys. Messi is the GOAT. He's the best player ever. Would he play? This isn't a question about Messi's quality. It's a question about, should a guy who has missed so many games win the most valuable player? Because the team has been winning without him. So the player that hasn't missed as many games as Suarez, and he's got better stats so far. So can you give it to someone who they've won without? Can you give it to someone who's missed that many games? I just think that's a hard sell. Now, another dark horse, we got a couple replies, but a dark horse could be, what about Evander? 14 goals, 18 assists. Is he leading the league in assists right now? Or is it Lucho Costa? Oh, it's a tie. So Evander and Lucho Costa are tied with 18 assists. So Evander's having a very good season, bounce back season. He was disappointing last year, but 14 goals with 18 assists this year, 84% pass accuracy. He's having a great season. Evander probably won't win it just because Portland hasn't been good enough, but Evander's definitely going to be a MLS best 11 player this year. But I would say it's got to be Suarez, right? What do you guys think? Do you think Suarez is going to win MVP, or do you think Messi will win it? Elmer says Messi didn't play enough, even though he's the best. Yeah, it has nothing to do with his quality, like you said. It's just that he hasn't played enough games, and I just don't think. I mean, look at the games played. Like in the low to mid 20s, everybody except Messi's played 14 games. I just feel like it's going to be hard to give a guy who's missed half of his games this year the MVP, even if his stats are crazy. Mr. Mister says, I'd say Suarez right now. Messi's missed too many games. Yeah, I agree 100%. John Paul says the East is top heavy. The top of the East is better than the top of the West. And the East is mid to low table is worse. The West mid to low table is worse than the West mid to low table. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. I'd say it's pretty fair. But God, I mean, even if the Western Conference or Eastern Conference, uh, the Eastern Conference top teams are definitely better. That mid to low table is abysmal. Like it is so bad. Like the only team that's definitively worse than the mid to low table Western Conference team that's worse than the Eastern Conference teams is San Jose because they're the worst team in the league. San Jose is abysmal. San Jose is embarrassing. Um, Elmer says Inter has been winning without Messi because Suarez has been scoring. Yeah, that's a good point. And also too, Suarez won the MVP of the Brazilian league last year, so he's still very good. He's proven that he's the most important. He's been the most important player on his last team, right? And for the league. And so I don't know if I think Suarez will probably win MVP this year. Now, here's the question: what does that do, though? Like, how does that make people feel, though, to know that Messi didn't win MVP on his team? If I told you that a player was going to win MVP on Inter Miami at the beginning of the season, I think most of you would think it would be Messi. So the fact that Suarez on a TAM deal, right? He's not even a DP, which a lot of you will probably say that they're cooking the books, but hey, there's no evidence of that, right? What does that say that Suarez is the one who won MVP, the guy that you probably wouldn't have bet on if it was before the season? I think that is that's an interesting development. I don't think a lot of people would have predicted that at the beginning of the year. Now, Cucho Hernandez could also be a dark horse because Columbus is obviously a very good team. He's got 14 goals, 11 assists. He's missed some matches as well. I just think it's a little bit of an uphill battle for him. I don't think that he's got the stats with the games. Now, he's not missed as many games as Messi, but if you look at it, he's played in 8 more games than Messi, and yet they have the same amount of goals, and Messi has more assists. So I think it's going to be hard for Cucho, but I love Cucho. I think Cucho's a really good player, probably a top 5 player in the league. Elmer says, I love Messi, but I understand he doesn't deserve it. I think most fans understand. In fact, Messi will give Suarez the assist to help him win. Yeah, that's the kind of player he is, right? He's very selfless, unlike a Portuguese striker or winger, whatever, depends on what team he's playing on. He's definitely willing to put others above himself, unlike the other individual. So yeah, I think he would be happy. I don't think Messi's the kind of guy that would be selfish or upset that his teammate won MVP. And I think Suarez has to be the favorite right now. I think Suarez has had a great season. I think you're going to see a lot of players on Inter Miami win awards. They're going to win the Supporter Shield. Tata Martino is going to win Coach of the Year. Suarez is going to win MVP. Now there's not going to be any defenders on Inter Miami winning Defender of the Year, and Drake Callender sure as hell is not winning Goalkeeper of the Year. But there's going to be a lot of awards that are there's going to be a lot of awards awarded to Inter Miami because of their great historic season. And I think that, like, is it possible? It's happened in other leagues, but when a team breaks a record in the regular season, is it even possible to not give their best player the MVP award? I just don't think that can happen. I think that he's definitely going to. I'm a few minutes behind watching on 2 times speed to catch up, but I'd say technically Messi is the MVP of MLS and at Miami because none of these South American talents or any of the Barca's boys would join. Yeah, Messi is he's the most important player to the build, but he hasn't been the most important player this year on the pitch. It has to be Suarez because we've only seen Inter Miami without Suarez last year, and they didn't make the playoffs, but that was a hard project to begin with. They weren't probably going to make the playoffs anyway. But Suarez has played this whole season, essentially. Messi's missed a lot of games. They're in first place in the Eastern Conference. They're in first place in the league. They're going to win the Supporter Shield. Suarez has a chance to win the Golden Boot. He's got 5 games to catch up to Benteke to win the Golden Boot. And let's go back to the standings. I want to go back and look at that. Let's see. I want to see how many games left DC United has. So DC United has 5 games left as well. So theoretically, Benteke could run away with it as well. But Suarez has proven he can score a brace. He score a hat trick. I think he can easily make up a 2-goal deficit. And Bouanga too. Bouanga has 6 games left, and he's 2 goals behind as well. So it's going to be an interesting race. I think that if Suarez is it tied or at least a goal behind Benteke, he'll win the MVP. If he wins Golden Boot, he'll definitely win MVP. If he's like third or fourth place in the Golden Boot, I think it might be harder to give him MVP because statistically he wasn't like the best in the league, even if he was on a per game basis. It's going to be hard. Like this is like the one season we knew in 2023 that Lucho Acosta was definitively the MVP. We knew that Hani Mukhtar was the MVP in 2022. There are a lot of there's a lot of this is going to be a tough MVP race. This is that's why I hope they don't just give it to Messi because his stats are crazy because he missed so many games. But if they were going to, this might be a year that they do that just because there's not a definitive MVP winner. Alvarez L says Mascherani might deserve Coach of the Year. He's done more with less. Yeah, but listen, I agree that Mascherani has completely revitalized his career. Obviously, he was, a decent manager at Colorado. Some people think he was unfairly fired. And then he obviously got a chance at RSL, and he's made the most of his opportunity. But I feel like it's very hard to not give it to the guy who is on pace to break the MLS record. If Inter Miami break the record for most points in a season, you got to give it to Tata Martino because he's doing something historic where RSL is just having a good season, but they're not necessarily doing anything historic. And they're not even finished. They're not going to even finish first place in their own conference. And Inter Miami, regardless of who they got, they're breaking records. So I think it's going to be hard to not give it to Tata Martino, honestly. But Mascherani would definitely be in my top 3 for Coach of the Year. Suarez may lose the Golden Boot, but win MVP. Yes, I agree. I think that's probably going to happen. But Suarez obviously is such a good goal scorer. He could easily be able to come back and win the Golden Boot. But Benteke's held on to the lead for quite a while now. So if Miami wins Supporter Shield, it all depends on the Shield win or not. Are you saying if Martino wins the MVP or Coach of the Year? No LAFC player would win it because there's too many mouths to feed. I don't know. It just depends on Denny Bouanga. Lucho Acosta just had a crazy season last year, which he's actually on pace to have a better season this year, which is hard to believe. I think that it would be hard because they definitely have had some they've had some hiccups in the regular season. So I think it would be hard for Denny Bouanga to win it, but he still has a chance, at least to win the Golden Boot. So he won it last year, if I'm not mistaken. You think Miami beats Columbus if they meet in the conference finals? I don't see it. Yeah, I think so, actually. And the reason why I say that is not because Columbus isn't capable of beating them. It's because Miami, the playoffs, every single game will go through Miami. They'll have to play every game at Chase Stadium. So Columbus obviously is one of the best teams on the road, and they're obviously a very good team at home. I just think it's going to be really hard to beat Miami at home when they would play because I expect Columbus to be finish in second place in the Eastern Conference. They're a game behind Cincinnati. So I expect them to finish second place. So they wouldn't even meet until the Eastern Conference Finals. And who knows, Columbus could have a slip up. They could have something happen to where they don't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think Inter Miami is the team to beat this year. I think it's going to be Inter Miami and LA Galaxy in the MLS Cup Finals. That's my prediction right now. We'll see what happens. I think LA Galaxy are just on a mission. They're like I said, this is the first time that they finished in the first place in the Western Conference since 2011. So they just have like this historic run that they're going on right now. And especially with their home record where they haven't lost a game at Dignity Health Sports Park this year, I think it's going to be hard for them to lose. And I that's my prediction right now. I could be wrong. I think it's going to be Inter Miami, LA Galaxy, MLS Cup Final. Roller says, hi, MLS Moves. Roller, how's it going? Appreciate you tuning in tonight. Elmer, Miami already beat Columbus at home this season. Yeah, I think Miami, Listen, if it was Steve Cherundolo, I think Columbus would be in trouble. But I think that they're fine. I don't think they're going to have any issues. I wouldn't bet against Nazi. No, Nazi's the best coach in the league. Let's not get it twisted. He's the best coach in the league. But Inter Miami is just they're a different animal this year. I mean, they're on pace to break a record. Isaiah Carter says, "My guy, Isaiah, what's going on, my friend? Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well. Love what you do, and I appreciate you all the support you show me, and for being a good friend." Miami proved that they can beat Columbus without Messi, and now with Messi, it would be a slaughter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think that I don't agree that maybe a slaughter, but I'm saying they've proven they can beat him without Messi. So I think that with Messi, it just makes it even tougher for Columbus. As a Galaxy fan, I don't want Miami in that final. Yeah, but you know who does? The league. The league, that'd be great. That would be great uh, ratings, right? LA Galaxy returns to the MLS Cup final for the first time in a decade, plays Inter Miami with Messi, would be a ratings hit. That would be honestly the league's dream. We will see Miami versus Columbus in 2 weeks. We will, and that could have record implications if Inter Miami wants to break that all-time points record. If it's a Galaxy versus Miami, it's going to be such a good match. Honestly, I would love to see it go to extra time 2-2 and just go to pins. Yeah, I don't know. You know what's funny as hell is that LA Galaxy and Inter Miami both have very suspect backlines, and it's been both of their downfall. So with a game like that, it could just be really uh, chaotic, and we could see a very high scoring game. Just because they've just been so bad, both of them in late game situations and just giving up, or and even early game situations, giving up goals. I'm gonna go probably about 5 more minutes. So if you have any final questions, make sure you shoot them this way. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got 29 people in here. Make sure you like the video, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of my live streams. Roller says would be so entertaining. Yeah, that would be a very entertaining MLS Cup final. John Paul says, "Who wins your MLS Cup final in Miami?" Ooh, I would say Miami because LA Galaxy has been so good at home. If it was at LA, I would probably take the Galaxy, but because it's at Miami, I would probably take Inter Miami, honestly. Marco Royce versus Messi in the final, Leverkusen versus Barca in the final. Yes, it'd be interesting, right? Well, not Leverkusen, Dortmund, right? Dortmund versus Barca in the final. In a shootout, wouldn't you back the Barca boys over the Galaxy? Probably, probably. 2025, New York City or DC for a match? Oh, New York City, right? I don't know. You like your DC? Maybe I'd go New York City. I go New York City, unless they get their thing. Unless they get it together. DC United, Galaxy are the best matchup to beat Miami. Yeah, they're both teams that can be down and prevail and come back. And I mean, they proved that, right? They were down 2-0 in the El Trafico and came back. Not a bad time to be a Galaxy fan. No, it's probably the best time to be a Galaxy fan in a while since the Robbie Keane days. Even though the Zlatan Ibrahimovic days were like a short blip of success and positivity for the team, but yes, this is definitely this has been a good time for LA Galaxy recently, especially after LAFC has won Supporter Shields, been to MLS Cup Finals back to back years, won an MLS Cup, been to 2 Champions League Finals. So yes, this is definitely one of the higher optimistic times to be a Galaxy fan in a while. If Miami and Galaxy go to the finals, would it be in Chase Stadium? Yes, it would. It would be in Chase Stadium. Uh, dude, that Barca game today hurts so bad. Yeah. Barca sports breaks my heart. Barcelona breaks my heart. Just when you think things are good, let you down. Sorry, right? I don't even want to talk about to Stegen. Yeah. Mm. The first El Clasico is going to be interesting. Jace Collins says, I've seen enough become LAFC's head coach over Dolo. I've seen enough become, yeah. Roller El Trafico conference finals, right? Um, probably, probably. I'd say that there's, I don't know. What if Colorado, I could see, like a Colorado upset LAFC or something like that. I could see something like that happen. Galaxy suck at penalties. Yeah, well, guess it's Inter Miami's in their advantage, right? Sorry, worded it wrong. For 2025, fancy a match in either New York City or DC. I would love to go to one of the two. I'm trying to think of which one. I'd probably DC. I actually think about going on a trip to Washington DC in like maybe April 2025. Be interesting. I have to check out a game. They should play at Hard Rock. Yes, I agree. I think eventually we will see a situation where the MLS Cup final is in a neutral site instead of, in a whatever team hosts it, whatever team has the better record. But we're probably still pretty far away from that happening. So it'll probably be a while before that happens. But yeah, Hard Rock definitely. Hard Rock would be amazing for an MLS Cup final, especially the Galaxy and Inter Miami. Can you see the Timbers beating LAFC, or are they on Galaxy side of the bracket? Let me see. They're in 8th place, so if they win, they'll be the 8th seed. They'd be on the Galaxy side of the bracket. They'd be on the Galaxy side of the bracket. So I don't think they wouldn't play LAFC currently. All right, last question. If you had to pick right now, who's winning MLS Cup? I'm going Inter Miami. I think Inter Miami is the best team in the league. Messi's back. He's healthy right now. I think that he is. I think that they are the team to beat, and I think that it's going to be hard to really stop that team when they're going, especially when they're going to be having every single match go through Chase Stadium. So that's who I got winning it. I appreciate you all tuning in tonight. Sorry, it's a shorter stream. I'm going to do these once a week, especially because we're having the mid-season or the midweek matches. I don't want to do 2 recaps a week, so we're going to do this instead. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about the standings and all the award updates, at least in the last couple of weeks to the playoffs. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you all. Please make sure you like this video and share with a friend and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.